What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the River Run podcast. I'm really excited for tonight because I have an awesome guest on. Mr. Drew Gregory himself is going to be in the studio in a bit. Guys, I'll be honest with you. Like, I am just itching. Like, we are weeks away from bass season in Canada. Like, I know it's opened up up north for some of us in Ontario. I've heard you seen the pictures, people going out there catching smallies, largies, But yeah, if you can get out on the water, do it. I haven't been out on the water as much as I wanted to, but I know it's going to happen soon. So yeah, let's dive into a couple things. One of my biggest things that we got going on this weekend at Frontenac Outfitters is the Jackson Kayak Demo Day. It is going to be so much fun. It's from 10 to 4 at Frontenac Outfitters, just outside of Kingston, Ontario. And guys, come on down. Bring a friend. Come down. Like, talk kayak fishing with us. Aaron's going to be there from Kayak Bass Canada. Aaron Dodds, Zach Fittis, and the entire crew of Frontenac will be there. Will Richardson is going to be there, also from Jackson Kayak. So, guys, this is your opportunity to really come and check out like the fantastic lineup of boats. You name it, from the Nar to the Bite. It's going to be there. The UPEC, you name it, it will be there. The Coosa X, get a chance. Also, Frontenac is stocked with supplies, like whether it's Yak Attack, PFDs, NRS, it is all there. So make sure 10/4 this Saturday, June 1st at Frontenac Outfitters, the Jackson Kayak Demo Day. Let's talk kayaks. Let's talk kayak fishing. Come on down. I have to give a little shout out to a friend of mine here. Marco, my friend Marco D made me this very awesome, very, very awesome River Run fishing sign. I believe it's a smallie. It's probably the biggest smallie I've ever held at this point, out of stainless steel. Yeah, no, super awesome. Thanks, dude. I really appreciate it. It's going to be going up on the wall. Don't you worry about that. I just haven't had a chance to really get all this. It's been busy. Another one. Get excited. The River Run hats. That's right. We got hats. We got stickers, River Run stickers, Paddle and Fin stickers. It is going to be a big shout out to Big Country Customs in my hometown of Cornwall, Ontario. Well, sorry, not my hometown, but where I reside in Cornwall. And he does a fantastic job. Check him out on Facebook. But yeah, he did me some hats up. They're going to be really cool. I got a couple going out as for this year for the Hard Knocks. River Run podcast is a sponsor. So I'm going to be giving out hats at each and every meetup. So come on out and join us at every event, and you might get a chance to walk away with a River Run podcast hat and stickers. And we had the first one, so I will be mailing it out to the lucky recipient there. But yeah, no, guys, don't forget also with Dubro Fishing, guys, use it. Dubro Fishing. They did awesome. They gave us a promo code, and the promo code is RRUN10. Save 10% at checkout. Check it out. Dubro Fishing has got a ton of stuff up there. They got baits. Yeah, they are your kayak fishing, boating, whatever it is, they got you covered. Another one that I really want to talk about too is the Kayak Fishing Life Benefit for CHEO. This year is going to be the 4th event, and we want to do it big. Last year, we did just over $25,000 for CHEO, which is the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. And yeah, it's a fantastic event. We have about 100 anglers coming out this year, July 6th. White Lake in Ontario. White Lake Marina is the fantastic host for the venue. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, everything goes to CHEO. It's all for the kids. So you can be a hero for CHEO. And if you check out the link down below in the description for this, you will see a donation link. And you can go and make a charitable donation to CHEO with the Kayak Fishing Life benefit. And you are a hero for CHEO. Guys, a little bit goes a long way. And I know for a fact how much CHEO means to a lot of, parents out there for what, CHEO does for children. It's a really, to me, it holds dear to my heart that, this event. So do your part, be a hero for CHEO. All right. So let's dive into the U.S. Bassing JK Trails. So check it out. If you're in the U.S. or you want to go down, there's a couple trails set up throughout different states. So you can check them out through Jackson Kayak. You can also check it out through Jackson Kayak's Facebook page, their Instagram. You'll see and you'll find the link to all of the events happening out for JK. So yeah, check it out. So yeah, further ado, I have to welcome the one and only Drew Gregory to the show.
All right, what's up, man?
How are you, dude?
I am doing good. I'm running around like crazy with these two young kids, like I was telling you offline just a minute ago, my son's final day of preschool. Well, not preschool, sorry. Kindergarten is tomorrow. And it's just going fast, man. Daughter starts preschool later this year. So going fast, going nuts, and about to get into the busy summer season for fishermen. As you very well know, being up there in Canada, your season's about to get, really started. But
yeah, dude,
it's going to be crazy busy if you work in the fishing industry during this summertime.
I can only imagine what it's like. So, Drew, before we do anything, there's something that you and I have in common. We like to river fish. So let's take a quick run to the river. Wow. All right. I'm excited to dive into this. Like, I don't even really know where to begin with Drew Gregory because, you are probably the busiest guy in the fishing industry right now. Like, I feel like you're chasing tournaments, and then you're flooding all the way over to doing this, the Kayak Adventure Series. Yep. And, at the same time, you're working with a lot of different brands from, I could only, Z-Man. I'm sure you're very busy with Crescent Kayaks, So for the folks that maybe just don't know who Drew Gregory is, I'll let you take the stage and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good sort of segue. You're sponsored by Jackson Kayak, so I think that's kind of when I really got started in kayak fishing, when I left my full-time job as a director of campus recreation for Lander University in South Carolina, and started working full-time for Jackson and designed that original Coosa. And it was pretty cool. Came up with this idea for a little camp chair that sits on top of a sit-on-side kayak, and it moves up and down, high and low, as we all kind of refer to these seats these days. And Jackson, we had a hit right off the bat. The Coosa just sort of changed the game in a lot of ways. It was sort of a landmark kayak. I think people,
100%.
termed it one of the landmark kayaks in our industry. So that was pretty cool. being able to design that boat with them. And then we had an awesome 10-year run, and I did Hooked on Wild Waters TV show, ran the River Bassin Tournament Trail, a lot of fun stuff with Jackson. And then around COVID, things kind of all shook up, the whole world and all of us, obviously. And then moved on to Crescent Kayaks, and then design with them now. Some boats, got a new one in the works right now. I actually just did the Sholey, which is the one that people know about. Sholey's the only one I've designed with Crescent so far, but I have a new one we're working on, and then one that's kind of right, hopefully, on the heels of that one. So got a few more in the works, and then, like you said, started the Kayak Adventure Series.
Yeah.
Which you can see, hats there or whatever.
Oh, look at that.
And then fish some tournaments of my own, which is how I ended up with all this, stuff behind me all over the wall. So definitely got a lot going on, but it's all good, man. I wanted to say though, that I love the name of your podcast. It's an awesome podcast name. I love the graphic. And I looked up Cornwall because I wasn't sure exactly where that was. And dude, you're like right in the heart of the best fishing right there, on the St. Lawrence. And it's
dude,
not a bad place to be. And I've always looked and scouted the tributaries, especially on the US side, you know what I mean? And I was like, I know there's got to be giant smallies in all of those tributaries, coming from both directions, Canada or the US. So maybe one day, because I don't mind fishing big water, like the actual St. Lawrence, but my heart's kind of more in that true medium, small size rivers, creeks, places like that you just feel so isolated and like you're the only person there. You know what I mean? You don't see any other people, and it's just, I love those places. So,
to be honest with you, I love fishing the St. Lawrence River, but I just love skinny water. Like I love going up creeks and tributaries and whatnot, and just being able, like the adventure in it. Like, don't get me wrong, the St. Lawrence is very, very big, very wide, and very, very adventurous, and at the same time, it can be quite treacherous. But for me, no, I enjoy getting out on some skinny water, and I love to chase river smallmouth, and I actually chase them on the U.S. side too. Being so close, like it's for me to get to a launch on one of them in upstate New York. It's literally a 15-minute drive from my house. So every year it's like, okay, buy a fishing license for, here, there, and everywhere. But Drew, if you ever want to come up, dude, and do some fishing, by all means.
Hey, don't think I haven't looked at that area or I've looked at the whole U.S., trust me, for the right place to, it has a theater, the right size town, the right size location for Kayak Adventure Series stop one day down the road. So I think there could be some good opportunities up in your neck of the woods. And I'm sure the Kayak Bass Canada crew would be all about it. So that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no. When we talk about, being that close, there's so many great places to go and fish, and the adventure is out there if you're willing to go for it. You know what I mean? Like, and for me, that's what I'm all about is the adventure. And so
cool. You're using the word, dude. It's the Kayak Adventure Series, right? You're all about the adventure, right? And so are we, and that's why we named it that. So that sounds like a cool spot. We only do like 6 of these a year. Maybe we'll do it one more at some point. But we have one coming up in Michigan, and not this week.
That's right. White Falls, I believe.
Yeah, Whitehall, Michigan. So we'll announce the second stop in 2025 at our second stop for 2024. So every single stop in 24, you're going to get to know where you're going to be at the next stop in 2025. So that schedule will be all out and done by the time our season is done, which is pretty cool. And then, we'll get going on. We've already started working on the 2026 schedule. Believe it or not.
Holy world.
We'll, keep all these areas, including yours, in mind for that.
Okay, so I gotta ask you though, between so you got the Kayak Adventure Series going, and when you decided to come up with this, this idea that you would have because it's not just like this, from what I can see and what I watched online, and I've seen multiple videos from a lot of the people you're working with that put out YouTube and social media, and I'll be honest with you, this is almost like the grand tour of any adventure. You've captured the idea of just getting out on the water, but you've also brought in the idea too that you can bring anglers together, and you can also bring all of these companies together that support the industry and the anglers. And then you have entertainment. You're doing a the breakfast in the morning, where you can sit down at the same time and you can learn about, whether it's rigging or,
the seminars.
kayak. Yeah. Like,
it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a whole, it's not just a tournament. That's for sure. We wanted to be different, do something different. And I always love the old school, like boondoggles that we always would have. And I used to run some called the River Bassin Rodeos, and they're just campouts and hangouts. And the most fun I've ever had was just laid back around a campfire with the boys, just hanging out, telling stories and having a few drinks, or just, grilling out. And I was like, how can we combine that laid back atmosphere with a tournament, but then, and also make it still like, have significant prizes where it's, you really get your heart pumping and you feel like some real stuff's on the line, some real money, which of course kind of comes from how many people enter the event, but how much your payout's really going to be. But where at the same time, it doesn't feel so elite where, I like to fish the Bassmaster Kayak Series and the Hobie and the KBFs, and obviously not as much anymore. I'm kind of focusing more on the Bassmasters just because I don't have time to like do a full-time tournament schedule with all three of those leagues. Yeah. Because I'm doing this other stuff, running this. And so I had to like cut some of them out just for that reason. But anyway, the Bassmaster, I feel like, is definitely the top right now, the elite of all the elite leagues in our sport. And I mean, thanks to the Hobie and KBF, and they're the ones who really, even River Bassin that I started was really one of the first national, if not the first national trail there was. So we've all kind of helped and grow this, and then Bassmaster's taking it, to another level. So, but anyway, I just wanted to make something that was different than their events, and also incorporated some of that adventure. Like you're saying, that the kayak anglers really, a lot of us got into the sport to be a part of, you know what I mean? Like this wild exploration, not, and I feel like our rules and our format for the Kayak Adventure Series let you get out and explore. I see Phil Robertson on here, man. He was just at that event in Georgia. I see lots of other familiar names. Dustin Nichols, what's up? Josh Evans. You guys are awesome, man. Chime in with any comments, by the way. We'll try to answer.
Yeah, we'll definitely try and get through some comments.
But I mean, it was just Phil right there is talking about saying Shoalipalooza was a blast. Great networking and fishing opportunities in places that aren't on the other national trails. So we're trying to just go to new places that are on the other national trails. And most of our entire roster, if you looked at it, besides Russ Snyder's and maybe Dylan Lowry, you don't see them fishing any other national trails. You know what I mean? These are all people that, because the idea behind this is to make it like less intimidating and more about the fun and the entire experience, so that we can get some of those, I would say, like beginner and intermediate anglers into the sport. And that's what really grows it, because then they can graduate. They can still fish the KS, but then they can also feel comfortable traveling on a national level, getting their systems down, Airbnb or camping or hotels, and fishing, northern fisheries for smallmouth that they never fished because they live in Mississippi, or, southern fisheries in Florida because they never fished because they lived in Michigan, and learning like muddy water, clear water, getting them to travel national and do so in a way that doesn't break the bank in terms of the entry fees. But at the same time, they can learn through the Bass U brunch that we have. And
that's really cool.
Rub elbows with a few of the top anglers that will, occasionally pop in and fish our events, because we have so much time built in for that fellowship and camaraderie. It's not, I've always said this too, like you don't see PGA Tour players out there partying till 1 a.m. when they got a 6 a.m. tee time next morning, or 7 a.m. tee time. Yeah. That's because it's getting to the point where that Bassmaster and the Hobie and the highest level, it's very, very competitive, very serious. And that's fun to me, but it may not be to everybody. You know what I mean? So this gives them that like a little bit more of a laid back, and we built in time for this camaraderie and fellowship, and no one has to be like stressed that, oh my gosh, I got to get back and get rigging because we have to get up at 5 a.m. No, you don't have to, because our seminars on Friday start at 10, and that's optional anyway. And the tournament on Friday starts, the Friday portion starts at 3 to 7. And then it gives you like a half day to quote unquote make a mistake. If you end up making a mistake, you can you can correct it on Saturday. It's just a 5 fish limit over both the day and a half, Saturday.
That's cool.
Fishing and Friday. So you can correct so again, if you're a beginner, that helps you a little bit, against.
Well, and you meet people too, right? So
Yeah.
you
Oh
go
yeah.
down there, and I remember from like my time in fishing tournaments, or just going to any meetup and getting out on the water with people, like a Hard Knocks meetup. Something we do, we
Yeah.
just bring people together. We get out on the water, no entry fees, no nothing. It's just you're there for the day. Let's have some fun, right?
Yeah.
But you're doing that. And
Mhm.
you give the opportunity too for families to unite, families to come together, while whether and giving the
Mhm.
opportunity even maybe to some of these younger anglers who are look up to the field, or have the opportunity to actually get out on the water with their dad or whatnot.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, like that's like this kayak adventure series. You've done an outstanding job
Yeah.
from like what I've seen, and like everything that you put together, dude. Like
You can
you're
share
doing
my screen if
amazing
you
things,
want.
my
Yeah.
friend.
If you want, I can share the screen there. I got the Kayak Adventure Series website going. And obviously, I guess we're talking about Kayak Adventure Series first. We kind of just started that way. But you can see that was the recap for, I can go back to it. We got a nice recap for Shoaly Palooza here.
Yeah.
Over 100 inches took the win. Russ had 100 as well in second place. And you can see just catching that bucket list fish was pretty cool.
Rad.
And you guys can read through the whole, how it went down. We even had linked to all the YouTubers, like you were saying, that have been posting, including the winner, Aaron Griffith here, the winner.
Jeff Little did a fantastic video too, just capturing all of well, and he went out with the other gentleman there that was in the picture.
Oh, Lance Cooley, yeah.
Who's quite a river angler himself.
Yep, there's Gene Jensen doing his seminar.
Yeah, and he was doing a seminar on Bonafide, was he not? Bonafide rigging. And,
rigging. It was a rigging seminar just about kayak rigging. We give away a kayak. We raffle off a kayak for pediatric cancer, so that's our charity.
Oh,
so
dude,
we had
that's
a special
amazing.
flash color, one off, just a one of a kind Shoaly in flash color. So that's pretty cool. And then we got this giant gallery of all the. I mean, if you were at this event, if you haven't seen this page yet, you should go look and see if you end up in a picture too. But yeah, you can see this is the Century belt that I guess this is going to pop up big. Yeah, that I got for you guys who fish Kayak Adventure Series. You get over 100 inches, you get one of those. So Russ and Aaron each got one of those, and they're just a lot of fun. These are some of his all of his trophies. We got a picture of that on the back of his kayak, but kind of loaded up. So yeah, everyone has done a great job. The people that are helping with it, Catch, great job on these trophies. So many awesome sponsors, including GoPro, the headline sponsor of this whole thing. Which, if we haven't even mentioned that yet, that GoPro is a sponsor because we are holding our awards in historic theaters, like these downtown theaters. So it's pretty cool that and we even, here's the trash we picked up. Look, so this right here is all trash we picked up, guys. Like literally, those kayaks were busted sunk in the bottom of the river. I mean, there's a kiddie pool, there's lawn chairs. All of our anglers brought back all that trash.
Drew,
and we gave away prizes
man.
for the trash. So it was a pretty cool event. And you guys can stroll. We even got a car battery got brought back out of the river. So good stuff is happening here.
Oh,
and we're making a difference. So yeah, guys. But you can click on that article. You can see the links to some of those YouTubers videos as well.
Yeah, guys, check it out, and check out the website too, right? Like you have all your dates throughout that, and it's cool because when you go on the website
right here,
you actually get a feel for where, like, the town.
Yep, Michigan's next. That's not this weekend, but the next weekend, and this is the theater we're going to be at, the Playhouse at White Lake, for the results, and they've got a liquor license there. So if you need to buy some drinks there, you can do that.
There you
go.
Yeah,
you get a feel for the town just scrubbing through these pictures of what some of the water looks like, and then you can go down and see all the information, all the registration information, all the sponsors, all the cool stuff we got going on. So there's a lot. So I'm not gonna stay here all day, but there's a look at that theater.
Oh, I bet we could. Like,
here all day long.
Look at that stage.
Yeah. So the anglers get a real stage to stand on, which is really cool and special. And we pay out the top 15%. So
there you go.
And we actually, and there's our opening ceremonies location, that band shell there, that amphitheater place. Wow. But we pay out the top 15% and actually also pay them out right when they walk off stage. So it's pretty cool that you get your check right when you walk off stage. We'll hand it to
Right
you. Here's
on.
our AOY standings is already up here from event number 1. And you probably noticed in that recap article, we're giving away, you may have noticed, I don't know if you did or not, but we're giving away an e-bike from Ubco. It's a $5,000 e-bike.
Oh, wow.
So right here for the winner.
Yeah, there it is. Well, that's cool.
For the winner of the Angler of the Year.
Man, that thing's got adventure
just,
written on it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just part of their package too. So for the Angler of the Year and that Team of the Year, that's the other thing we didn't mention. There's a team division, a 2-man team division, which is really cool because you can ride with your buddies, save on gas, and get down there together, join, team up and fish the 2-man team division. And we got just so much going on. You guys can look at the website, but there's even an Angler's Garage sale. So you bring the stuff that you don't use anymore to sell it to the people there so you can cover your costs for getting to the event, paying for the event. And because I know when you only have, 6 events, some of you guys will be driving some long distances. I mean, that's what I do, right? On the Bassmaster series, whatever the events are, they only got 6. I'm driving all across the country, but we're kind of picking places in the country that are just the best fisheries, hidden gems. People don't know about it necessarily. So it's A, worth it to drive that far, but B, the camaraderie and fellowship and the ability to sell some stuff of your own to help cover your costs. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you really done it for the anglers. You know what I mean? Like you're bringing people together, you're giving them the opportunity to, because at the same time, if you think about it, through COVID, like a lot of people, they lost a lot and went through a lot of hard times. And now that the world is slowly moving back forward, you know what I mean? We're getting there, and this is an outstanding kayak adventure series. Like I would love to be able to come down to one. Like it sounds like it'd be a lot of fun.
Come to Susquehanna, dude. We got a Susquehanna event later this year.
I think actually I looked up at the one for in June, the Whitehall. And for me, that's only like a 10-hour drive, which is
not bad.
It's not bad when you really think about it.
Susquehanna is probably a lot less, but it's August 9th and 10th. But that's the closest one to you for sure. But yeah, it's so far seems like a hit. We'll see if people keep coming and enjoying it, and we'll just see how far we can take this thing. I think it's a cool concept. So if people keep coming, then we'll keep doing it, I guess. But I see Dustin Nichols there. I know he was wanting to go to.
He said he wanted to go Shoaly Palooza. Yeah. He was bummed out he wasn't.
I see.
Yeah.
And Jay Randall, what's up, Jay? Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of years with this series, and how the places we go and how people continue to, I guess, view it.
A top-notch series there, Mr. Gregory.
Yeah. Yep.
So like now, so we've kind of covered the kayak adventure series here. So when Drew's not doing the kayak adventure series, and now it's tournament time, like we're getting out there. You recently have done something pretty impressive. Like obviously you have quite the array of trophies behind you, but you have notched off the Angler of the Year. And
I did do that. There's a trophy somewhere. Yeah. But, I don't know. It is somewhere. Oh, it's that one back there. It's that one that you can see. I don't know if I'm pointing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right there. That's the one for AOY. Yep. Bassmaster. Yep.
So, like, how does that feel, dude? Like, dude,
it's crazy. I mean, like,
walk us through it. Like, come on. Like, how did that all come about?
Just think about it. Just think about like the whole. I don't know. It's a lifelong sort of like thought process. But you grow up, you fish as a kid, whatever. You get into kayak fishing. There's no such thing as tournaments. That back when I started, we're just fishing for fun, and this whole thing, begins, and then. You're like, oh, it'd be cool to just win one. You know what I mean? Like, just win one day. And then, like, you win Lake Dardanelle on Hobie. And I'm like, oh, cool, I won one. And then it's like, hey, I got to, maybe you could win AOY. And the next thing you do pretty good at a couple more events. And that same year, and you win the AOY for Hobie. And you're just, like, in shock that, like, that's already happened. Then all this on top of it behind me. And it's just hard to explain. I mean, I feel very content. It doesn't mean I'm not going to keep trying to win as much as possible, because I am, but
dude, you're a machine.
If I don't win again, I could care less, man. You know what I mean? Like, It's one of those things where you just feel like, dude, worked my tail off, studied this fish, and you know what I mean? Like understand it pretty darn well. And we can get into any other tips for fishing and catching them and about this species of bass, all of them, the black bass, you know, as much as you want tonight, if people need help understanding them and learning them. And then you kind of have to create, it's not just learning and how to catch them now. There's a different game involved. There's other people you got to think about where they're going to be. There's a time element. There's 2 days you got to think about, not just 1 day, but 2 days, 10 fish. And it's just, I can't even explain it, man. I really can't explain it other than I feel very grateful, fortunate. Cause I know these are some good anglers that are out there fishing. This is the best of the best in our sport. And to notch, you know, AOI and now a championship. I never had a national championship, whether KBF, Hobie, or I got second at you know, what was that $20,000 check, second at the KBF one 1 year out of like the 600 or 700 people, but never first. I've always wanted a championship. So before I died, I was like, I just would want one of those big,
Just
the big ones, one of the big
Now you got a
ones,
whole
you know?
room of them. You know what I mean?
And yeah, now I got like at least one championship and then a whole room of other national wins. So you can see I'm fumbling with my words. I don't know how to explain like how it feels.
Yeah.
It's just other than the fact that like you've been grinding towards a goal for so long. And then there was just, okay, well, now that I've won an event, let me try to get an AOI, and you work your tail off to do that. And then you do it. And then it's like, okay, well now let me, you know, try to get another one to go back to back, or let me try to like win, just get a championship one. And you do that. And now it's like, now what? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
you had a pretty strategic game plan though for this. You really mapped it out because you just about had every torpedo battery that you could find for this.
Exactly. Very
and
strategic.
I was listening to you talk about it, and you're like, yeah, like I had like multiple torpedo batteries because I knew I needed to like travel as far up as I could go. And you know, you're a power fisherman. You know, when you sit there and you know, whether you're chucking spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, you know, topwater, like you're always moving. Like you don't stop. Like I don't think I've ever seen you put a spinning rod in your hand, and if we were to do like a slow finesse dance here, you know what I mean? Like that, I don't know how Drew Gregory would even respond to that. You know what I mean? Like you know, you watch videos of, you know, or even like clips you put up through your GoPros and whatnot. Like you are boogieing. Like I don't think anybody fishes as fast as you.
And part of what I do is, again, it just comes from experiences. Not even, I mean, yeah, I fish fast, but a lot of times I'm not fishing at all. I'm just going fast to the next spot that I know is a very high percentage area. You know what I'm saying? So I'm moving and I'm not wasting time. I've just done this long enough now where it sounds just crazy. Maybe it sounds like, I don't know, like I mean, I guess if I got all these trophies behind me, I can say this without sounding as like, oh, that guy just thinks he's a know-it-all. You know what I mean? But like, I just know where they are and where they aren't based on all the elements put together. It's like my brain it's like AI, right? ChatGPT. It's taking all the information on the internet completely and spitting out, you know, the best answer for you. And as anglers, I feel like, you know, when you really are learning and you need to be a sponge, every single fish catch I've ever had my entire life and situation is all been absorbed in my brain, which is probably why my wife says I can't ever listen to anything she says or pay attention. So it's all like fishing stuff, but it's all like in this brain.
My
and then like,
says the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe it's just a wife thing.
Maybe it's
but like
fishing guy thing.
Yeah, I guess. But you get what I'm saying? It's like, and then I spit it out and I know like, okay, I can maybe catch a fish there. I've done that before, but like, that's not the highest percentage odds for a big fish or the most fish. So I just know to like skip it, just go past it and just fly to this stuff that I know either through pre-fishing or, you know what I'm saying? Like I've already kind of determined this is where they're at. And if I can hit as many of those, then, you know, that would be best odds. So
another thing that I found interesting too about you is that you generally, when you do a tournament, I believe you had said in a previous podcast that you only bring like one length of rod.
Yeah.
You won't have multiple, you'll have multiple rods, but all the same length, whether you're changing your gear ratio on those bait casters, So like
Mhm.
I kind of want to dive into that because that is kind of an interesting approach that you
Yeah,
take this and it's like, because a lot of us,
it is.
you go out with multiple lengths, and
Right.
you kind of learn it that way, that having multiple lengths for different techniques and, so
Yeah, I've got
now,
a theory. I got a weird theory about it.
yeah.
And later on, I pulled up a video you can play from that Bassmaster Kayak Series
Okay.
Championship that proves I own a spinning rod. Okay, so
Okay.
there you
All
go.
right. Okay.
That'll
Okay.
prove it. And we
Let-
can watch that fish catch.
oh, all
But
right.
anyway,
Let's play this.
well, you want to play it? Yeah, this is
Yeah,
a
let's play it.
19.5 late day coal, and I was swimming a little Gobius from Z-Man.
Oh,
And it was crystal clear water, bluebird skies, as you can see. So, thus the spinning rod. And the day before in pre-fishing, I'll just keep talking as I fight this fish here as I'm loosening my drag and let it just swim around in the open water. But so I knew the day before in pre-fishing, the day before that, let's say, I found these fish and couldn't get them to bite. And then the next day, the last day of pre-fishing, I went there just with a spinning rod and light line because all I had was bait catchers when I was practicing right there. And I was able to get them to eat a little teeny small little swim bait and this little Gobius. It looks like a river darter. You know what I mean? It's a goby river darter. So they were able to eat that. I could tell they would eat it. So in straight braid too. I was like, okay, I want to see if they would eat it on an 8-pound test straight braid, or if I needed to like use a leader, because I hate ever using any leaders for anything ever, or even fluorocarbon or monofilament. Everything I throw is straight braid, whether it's 8-pound or 5-pound test or whatever on a spinning rod, something small, or 30 or 40-pound test on a bait caster. But anyway, I own a spinning rod and I do a horrible job. So just to show you guys, like, people are like,
I don't know.
I'm human. I will show you that we can learn from a couple mistakes I did. I know not to do this, but she's starting to go in a second towards this log. I'll fast forward. And and I ended up grabbing the line, which is, I mean, you see Elite Series anglers do it all the time, but
grab the.
It's not what you're supposed to do. But you can see there's a log right there that's coming out underneath the water. You can see it right by my kayak. So watch this log. You can see it right by my kayak.
Yeah.
Right under the water. So she was going underneath it. So I just freaked out and started pulling her a little bit, and then just grabbed the line. And then as soon as I belly her in, which again could have used the net, but the bait falls out. The bait fell right out of her mouth. So I don't know if you saw that. Watch this.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah, you see it drop out.
It drops out, and I've got the fish. So that was like a 3-inch coal from 16 and a half to 19 and a half.
Yes.
And
dude, I love the energy, man. I love it.
I was pretty pumped because
This is kind of Gobius.
here we go. There I said the dumb dad joke here.
19 and a half
Wow.
on the Gobius. Let's go, BS. That's this kind of stupid dad joke.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But just let her go. So
There you
that
go.
proves I own a spinning rod.
All right.
There we go.
You heard it, folks. Drew Gregory. He owns a spinning rod, and that's his only spinning rod in the entire collection, correct?
Basically, I got a few. of them, but I only had one on the water.
There
that
goes.
day. There she goes. And then
Drew, that was awesome,
yeah,
man.
that was cool, so.
That was really, and that's actually one of the reasons I enjoy your YouTube channel and like your social media is the energy you bring in catching fish is awesome. I'm sure, we all get excited, but you can see, just through, everything that you're doing, but when you get onto the water, like, that's natural to you. That's where, you must feel like you belong. You know what I mean? Like that for me, that's where I feel like I belong, is on the water.
Yeah.
And hooking into a fish like that. And yeah, for sure. Like light line. As a finesse angler myself, I do use a lot of spinning, and I'm starting to use more bait casting as this gets on. But yeah, it's, there's nothing like that when it's that saying that elephants eat peanuts. You know what I mean? Like you don't necessarily always need the bigger, faster baits. But like if we could though, like your theory on this whole idea, the rods here, like that's interesting, and the fact too, like we're talking, you only use braided line. Now, when you said 40 to 50 pound tests, I'm thinking. My thought process is that is probably the closest equivalent to like
14, 15 pound mono that you would generally throw, you
Right.
know?
Yep.
So that's
Yep.
that's where my thought process is on that.
That's right. Yeah, 30 to 50 is what I usually throw 30-pound braid on everything, but you just get longer casts, less stretch in a kayak, having that the ability for the kayak to actually move with the fish. You're not on the bank and you're not on the deck of a bass boat that's so heavy that a fish can't kind of pull it. So that hook set, having no stretch or virtually no stretch is super critical to get a good strong hook set to get it past the barb. You know what I mean? Where you want it to go, those big single hooks. And that's just kind of why I do it. Plus, you don't need to use any of the other lines when you're throwing spinner baits and buzz baits and chatter baits and swim baits, stuff like that. They don't top water baits. They don't see the line. Like they don't see it. You're moving it fast. They don't care. And it's just, to me, it's just, you feel everything better. There's no stretch. There's no give. There's no play. Like you feel even if I'm throwing a jig on the bottom, like a crawl jig, I can put my finger on the line and I feel them and they just dump and the whole line shakes and it's like so easy. So again, it's not like, you can't get away with it in every situation. If I'm a main lake fisherman, like I'm sure it makes a difference possibly up, in the St. Lawrence, but maybe not. Yeah. Jacob Wheeler won, he upsized his line to win that tournament. You know what I mean? It's not like, when they were there a couple years ago. So, yeah, I mean, it's just more about the right line to get the correct action of your bait. Like a chatterbait mini max, if you throw that on 30 or 40 pound braid, it will not have the same action because it's just displacing too much water in front of the blade. So you got to go down to like 20 pound on a bait caster, 20 pound braid, or throw it on like 10 or 12 pound or 14 pound braid on a spinning rod, because you can't really get much. You can't really throw less than 20 pound braid, really 30, I would say, for most people on a bait caster very well. Cause it's the equivalent, like you said, 20 pound braid is probably like the equivalent of like 6 or 8 pound test, mono.
Yeah.
Which means it's so limber. Bait casters were not designed for teeny thin line like that. That's the reason why they invented them. They had spinning rods that were doing great for thin line, but the spinning rods did not do good at heavy line, because heavy line has a bigger diameter and therefore more friction, around the spool and all the guides. So you don't get distance with thick, heavy line. They're like, how can we throw heavier line? Somebody invented the bait caster. So you got to use them for what they're made for and what they excel at. So don't go below 30 pound test braid on a bait caster unless you really, really have the right, BFS setup or right setup that's made for 20 or something,
It's funny you mentioned that, because when it comes to like bait casting setups, for me personally, I would prefer to have 30 pound braid and I would spool all of my reels with it.
Right.
If I feel I need to add a leader because of water clarity and whatnot, I will go ahead. But when it comes to my casting, my spinning setups, I generally don't go past 8 pound braid, because it just seems to handle the best. It casts the best. And if you do need to tie a leader on for whatever reason, like it's still doable where, I have everybody's used floral and whatnot, mono, but when it comes to braid, I honestly think for me, having the same size braid on every casting reel, it just makes sense, and it's you almost can easily, you have a better feel for it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's specialty setups, so we can get into my theory too, because I like having the same size braid on all the reels. And I will switch to, I'll have like 4 rods that'll be the same length of that exact same braid. And I could cut off, one, and put a jig on one. I could cut off and put a spinnerbait. I could cut off and put a buzz bait or a swim bait or a chatterbait. And literally all the rods are the same. They all throw the same. I could, usually I'll have like all the baits I just mentioned on each one of those 4 rods. Right.
Yeah.
And then it's easy because, if I need to cut something off and put something else on, they all could be fished on the exact same 7'3" medium heavy or 7'6" medium heavy or 7 foot or whatever, 6'7". And I change lengths based on if I'm fishing in a creek, like a small creek, or where it's very tight quarters for casting, and you got to like get real underneath stuff into these little. So now I want everything to be the same in that situation because, obviously the casting issue, but when I pick pick up a different rod, right? Pick up a spinner bait and just get done throwing the chatterbait or the buzz bait or the Chapo or something. I want them to all throw the same and feel the same, like a golfer, like Bryson DeChambeau uses these single length clubs. And he says it's because you don't have to change the swing plane. They're all the same length. It's the same feel every single time. And Rick Clunns even said, I'm pretty sure that he even does this, or maybe used to do it. I don't know if he does it still, but that's kind of my theory with the bait. And I find water where all those baits I just mentioned, your jig is the only thing that's like a bottom bouncing bait for me most of the time. It was soft plastic jerk bait and a Z-Man goat toads and a scented jerk shad, the 7-inch version, the big one, or the 5-inch. It doesn't matter, any of those. And I'll throw, swim baits, Chapos, buzz baits, chatterbaits, spinner baits. They all can be fished on that exact setup we just talked about, 30-pound braid, and then you just change the length. So I'm on the Susquehanna River. I'm somewhere like you're talking about, where clear water and long casts matter big time for spookiness. Now I'm going, they're all the same reels. I'm just taking the same reels and moving them to, instead of a 6'7" or 6'8", or 7 foot, for those smaller, kind of tighter quarters places. Now I'm just putting them on all 7'6" rods, and now they're all in my kayak for that trip that day. Now, there are only exceptions are, just like Bryson DeChambeau has a putter that's not like his other clubs. He's got a driver that definitely looks different on the head. There's exceptions like a frogging rod or a gigantic, big, heavy swim bait rod. You might need like a heavy action, 7'6" or 7'9". I've got a 7-11 flipping rod, a punching rod. I mean, like for actual punching through mats in Florida. I'm not going to have all my rods be 7-11, in Florida with all other baits I've just talked about. But that is a specialty technique. You know what I mean? Kind of like that spinning rod you just saw me use there in Oklahoma. That was very specialty. So I had that single rod that was different than all my other bait casters. But for the majority of them, and again, I look for water. I'm not stupid in the sense that I know I'm not going to use those baits with straight braid in the middle of the main lake where all the pressure from all the bass boats are. And I didn't get into kayak fishing to fish that water anyway. So I just find and look for water in the tournament boundaries that suits my style and those baits, if that makes sense. So murky water, moving water, the stuff that where I know the power fishing stuff will work. So I just don't do the other stuff, because usually I can find water on every lake that suits that style, even if it's only like 10% of the entire inbounds water is that. Well, look at me. I already just ruled out 90% of the entire lake, and everyone else is all confused about where do they go, what to do. I just easily ruled out 90% of the lake, and I'm focusing on that 10%. But other times, you might have a lake like in Texas, Lake Caddo or somewhere like that that's just wild and remote, or Bistineau, or any of those kind of like Santee Cooper, the swamp, and that there's a lot of lake that I would say is like a Drew Gregory style, So it doesn't always work like that, but at least it helps me narrow down easily the area that I'm going to want to fish.
Yeah, well, and you just said it, and I think that just goes to show, your success, like your homework that's involved, and you're narrowing it down. Right. While everybody else is out back there trying to figure it out, you are sticking to this one stretch. You're pounding it. You have, because, judging by it, it seems to be that you generally go out with 4 or 5 setups, they're right in front of you. And, as we can tell, Drew paddles also running Torqeedo motor, but do you ever run, would you ever run a pedal drive instead of, I know the Torqeedo is definitely going to get you to where you need to be fast, right?
Yeah, Christian has asked that question.
Yeah, because it was asked over here we'll show it here. Christian asked, why do you prefer the paddle over the pedal? And I actually thought that was a really good question by Christian, because the way you see kayak fishing at the moment is it's all motors. Everybody's either got the XI3, the Newport, the Torqeedo, or you can't afford that setup or what, and you get innovated and you make your own, and that's cool too. But for me personally, I still love to get out there and paddle. I have a pedal drive. I have not stepped into the realm of the motors yet. But Drew, let's dive into that.
Let's do it. So I prefer to paddle because of the places I fish that you know, again, I'm looking for places that other people, especially mainly bass boats. I mean, obviously potentially kayakers too, but bass boaters aren't going to be fishing. And that's why I got into kayak fishing. Just, I love finding wild and unpressured fish, right, that haven't been touched by other anglers. They're always easier to catch if you can find them. And that's not any different than, you know, a bass boat angler out in the middle of the lake on live scope, looking for an unpressured group of fish in 40 foot of water. You know what I mean? It's not any different, really. We're all looking for unpressured fish, but this just happens to be unpressured, that, you know, they're in a different way where the boat, the actual watercraft they are in just can't get to them, you know? And so when you get into thick vegetation and slop and you get into shallow creeks and rivers, a pedal drive will not be as effective. You know what I mean? It's just not going to go over, you know, even if you can feather them or you could pull them up or get them out and paddle a little bit, it's just not the most effective tool.
I would agree too, you know,
yeah,
that's added, you know, if you are going to be paddling for a good chunk of your day, like that is added weight. And, you know, when you're constantly casting, retrieving, you know what I mean? That's just another thing that you also boat position, you know what I mean? Like it does play a factor, you know, hugely in it.
It does. And then the other thing is, to answer that question, I'd like to potentially stand up a good bit and fish. And it's kind of like, I got to sit back down. I got to use the pedals to move again. I can stand back up, down, up, down. In a paddle, I can still just kind of push, pull, paddle around, like push paddle while I'm standing up. You know what I mean? And I can still move and see stuff, look around, look for fish. So that's another reason. And then I also just don't like the fact that my knees are constantly in my body where I'm trying to like cast and fish, and they're constantly going up and kind of like into my area where I'm fishing and trying to like use my hands. It just is not comfortable to me to be able to fish with that motion of my legs and knees getting all the way up into me all the time. So, and then today, you know, if we're talking, you know, what I do a lot, which is fish tournaments, you know, the tournament rules, the way they've all kind of allowed motors now, it's like, I mean, a motor is always going to be faster than a pedal drive or paddle. So they've kind of nullified in some ways the pedal drives, but not completely the paddle, because the paddle can still, you still need it to do a lot of things. When I'm using my Torqeedo, I use the draw stroke a lot to pull my kayak directly to the right or left, like not going forward at all, just directly left or right to position my kayak for the right cast. Again, in tight quarters, every inch matters. I mean, I may pull myself just a foot to the right just to get the perfect angle under these trees or limbs to make that skip cast. And it's just, I mean, obviously there is a Hobie 360 drive that you could spin at that exact angle and move that way, you know, but the paddle is just kind of how I prefer to do that. And I've also used it, you know, to kind of as a push pull and push paddle and push off stuff all the time. So those are a couple reasons. And mainly it really just has to do with the waters I fish, being rivers and shallow and rocky.
Yeah.
You don't see, I mean, do whitewater kayakers use pedal drives or paddle kayaks? I mean, that's your answer. Like, does Jackson Kayak, does Dane Jackson use a pedal whitewater kayak or a paddle whitewater kayak? Well, there's no such thing as a pedal whitewater kayak. That's your answer. I mean, I'm fishing whitewater rivers sometimes. It doesn't matter if they're class 1 or 2 or 3.
You had video recently that you put up where you were like, and it's like I was pretty impressed how you were able to hold yourself there, but then you, knowing, you know, your experience on the water, you knew instantly that, hey, I got to move. Like I'm going to put myself in a bad situation. And you know, through all the years that you've been, you know, a river angler, where, you know, that's predominantly where you fish, you know, your paddle skills at the same time compared to some others, you know, you gain another advantage there in your boat position and the way that you can hold yourself for those accurate casts that you need to make, you know, to haul out some of these impressive fish that you bring out. Now, we may have
brought that video up there if you want to show it.
Yeah, here, let's just show this here.
This pedal drive. I'll turn the volume off for a second. A pedal drive will never work in a situation like this as well as a paddle. I mean, it just won't.
No.
But basically, if you want to see, you know, I can kind of scrub through this so you guys can watch this. This is on my
What's
YouTube.
going on, guys?
But basically, I'm in a real swift white water here.
A lot easier,
and
which allows you to ferry across, which is what I'm doing right here in this next clip. Just up a little bit to
I'm going to make a cast.
The bottom of their kayaks, right? The water. So as you can see here, I'm going to make a cast of this little hole right here.
So I made a cast.
The reason I'm not going to anchor, just so you know, is because if I catch a fish here, which I do, hook up, the fish is going to pull me into swift current, swift water. And you could never, if you're anchored, you can never bring a fish, especially a fish of any size, upstream in heavy current. I mean, I've learned the lesson the hard way. Is trying to bring a chain in swift water like this
Probably
is
gonna
highly
just-
discouraged.
I have another video
in
just
my
to
opinion.
catch, I think.
So
But
as
you
you
get
can
the
see, I
idea.
make
When
a
you're in this
cast in that
whitewater,
water
Yeah.
pool. The first
you catch this fish and you're fighting this fish. This is just not gonna be good pedal drive.
Steep, sharp
Oh
wall.
God, no.
It's not going to be good pedal. I'll mute that there. Not good pedal drive water, really. So it kind of, that's really the answer to the question. It's just kind of
Yeah.
everything's a tool. You know what I mean? Like the rods, the reels, the kayaks, the paddle, everything is the best tool for the job, right? I mean, a hammer doesn't do what a screwdriver does, and
And that's also something that comes with experience. You know what I mean?
It's chaotic.
yeah, exactly.
So-
So, and I can remove that, but I can also, just to show you guys the draw stroke, which is pretty cool. Oh, whoops.
Hold on.
I think I just had it there. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Here we go. Found it. This is a good video just to
Okay.
show you guys the draw stroke and why and how I use this. Even with a motor on the back, I draw stroke and bring myself to the side so I can get my boat parallel with that bank. My bait can come across properly, right close to that bank so that the fish can kind of force them to make a decision. And I really should.
And I want to make sure. And
Honestly, I should.
stay in that strike zone.
Look at that. A lot less trophies there at that time.
Yeah.
Still some good trophies, but
stay in that
a lot less.
zone is going to be on the bank. I mean, right on the bank. Now,
But
those that are there
I'm always
at this
teaching
point,
people how,
before I do this, you'll notice I
Oh, that's
In my
you know,
classes,
called a draw stroke
here-
with my paddle.
you want a
So
parallel
what I'm saying is
structure,
motor
parallel the
cannot
bank,
move you
and you want to keep
directly
it close.
sideways.
Well, there you go.
It always
Foot and
needs
a
to
half.
be forward.
And get your boat in
you
position
move
to
left
do
right. You
that.
gotta be,
So
still be moving forward,
And
left to right.
you know,
So,
your success
something called-
at the end of the day, when you think about it, is you're moving it. But your success to being able to get yourself into that position, it comes with years of experience on the water. And now you're turning that around and you're giving people the opportunity, as you know, it's all the trophies and everything behind you, to actually go and maybe,
Right.
hey, maybe they'll be the next, Drew Gregory out on the water. It's because a lot of people, they probably want to hold on to all the little secrets that they have. Now, here I'll just bring back.
I like to
here we
hold
go.
on to most of them, but I don't mind sharing a few here and there. And I wish I had more time to do videos like that. But I hold some virtual lessons every once in a while, and I'm about to get on Fish Tips and put up a fish tip there. It's basically like consulting for people that want help with tournaments and strategy and stuff like that. So, I'm gonna help the people that I can and get to know them personally, and instead of just giving all the information out to everybody, because then it doesn't do anybody like an advantage.
Sure.
If it's just out there publicly.
Now
So
it's
I'm gonna try to help people more on that level, so I can get to know them and kind of pull for them, as well on a personal friend level.
so when it comes down to with the Kayak Venture Series, and you got all your big tournaments that you're going across the nation with, the Bassmaster Series. There's still this element that you design the shoalie,
Mhm.
which like we spoke before, you designed the Coosa with
Right.
Jackson. The shoalie, like that's a pretty impressive little boat, like you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like as a pat, like it to me it has that throw and go mentality,
Yeah,
They-
it does.
that ability to just kind of be able to
Mhm.
stick it here, whether as for big water, I don't really know how it handles, but like your position with
Mhm.
Crescent, like let's dive into this.
Yeah.
I think this would be
Yeah,
this is pretty cool.
I think it's a cool conversation to tackle as well. And actually, Christian, I see your comment there. The other thing we forgot to mention, just on that paddle versus pedal, a lot of times it has to do with where I'm accessing, which is kind of a tie into the shoalie and that original Coosa being lightweight. River boats should be, and backwater kind of throw and go boats should be lightweight, so you can actually access at the tough places that you kind of have to access to get to
Yeah.
those
Oh, for sure.
unpressured fish sometimes.
Because
And,
they're usually
and-
not boat
right.
launches, right?
No, they're
that's,
usually
that's
not.
the thing. They're
But-
not.
They're not, and they're public. They're legal. Could be a canoe and kayak launch. It could be down a
Yep.
trail, public trail, a park, or whatever. It could just be a riverside. I mean, a bridge side. Riprap access right on the bridge with public right of way. where all your whitewater kayakers put in, right? But to get to what he's saying, like a pedal drive kayak, that they're not light. Like none of them are light and simple like that, other than maybe like the inflatable, one. They're all very, very heavy. So really, so even before they changed the rules at the highest level of tournament fishing, where you have designated launches and whatever, I won all these AOYs and stuff without any electronics or motors at all. I didn't have a Torqeedo. I wasn't using Torqeedo then, even though all that stuff was allowed, because I was able to just launch because I know people that have motors, guess where they launch? At the boat ramp. People that have pedal drives, PA14s, where do they launch? At the boat ramp.
Launch. Yeah.
So they don't want to do the work, and they have advantages. Their tools are advantages to where they fish on the lake, and they can definitely go faster in the lake with a motor. But I was like, well, I'll just take my paddle and go launch at this public spot here, or this canoe and kayak launch, or this, the Bassmaster Kayak Series on Guntersville. I just fished it 2 weeks ago. I was the only one, even with designated launches. I was the only one at my boat ramp, and I was the only one and it wasn't like it wasn't a ramp. Sorry, I was the only one at my access. It was because it wasn't a ramp.
Yeah,
only one there both days. I had all the water myself. Decent. I was 7th place after day one and ended up in 24th, still top 11%. So, can't complain, but because there was 211 people in the tournament, but definitely had a shot. But anyway, the point was pretty much just about, like Christian made there. It's just like, yeah, sometimes it comes to accessing and getting back to the shoalie, keeping that boat. I mean, honestly, that's even a little, I would even say I would call that even still a little on the heavy side, 75 pounds. That thing it's, but we wanted to make it big enough for most people could fit in it with the weight capacity and everything. So, man, when you start getting over that weight, especially with all your gear and everything you bring, it's kind of tough to access at these like bridges and places like that. It's pretty darn hard, man. Like you really would like to even see it a little bit lighter than that, if you can get it lighter than that. So that's just kind of my style of fishing. But the shoalie's a fun boat. It's got a good river hole on it. Good. I got it going. It goes 6.7 miles an hour with my Torqeedo. So that's about as fast. I mean, there's a few boats that are faster than that out there, but I mean, that's pretty darn fast on the 1103 Torqeedo. I know if you get an attack 140, you can go faster, like almost a mile an hour faster, but most boats are probably only going to get, 5 to 6 miles an hour on that 1103. So kind of have an advantage when you do put a motor on it as well. But obviously it's an homage. It pays homage to that shoal bass that we just did, the Shoalie Palooza tournament down in Georgia. A bucket list fish on, for sure, if you're a bass fisherman. So, but yeah, it's got a lot of cool features. It's been a great seller, man. We're doing good with it. And, obviously, we'll can't complain, and we'll just keep making new cool boats.
But you're also on the design crew for another one now, is what you're saying. You were saying earlier. Yeah. So
exactly.
That's
Yep.
I'm sure, for Crescent, that's huge, to have, in their boat design, especially when you're going with, a boat that you're, throw and go. You're not really going to be bringing these, to these simplest access points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what can you give us, like, a little bit, like, what are you, like, what's the mindset on this next one? Like, where is this, like, going to be, like, the next Shoalie?
I mean, I'll tell you this much. Crescent's a company that's focused on paddling, and making them, of course, able to be motorized, since that seems to be the trend. But like, we're not into the pedal drive. So I'll let you know now, we're not working on some crazy like contraption or, something that takes a ton of money and time to R&D and figure out. It's just good USA made, kind of like Jackson, just good USA made quality paddling boats. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what Crescent does, man. And it's just me designing it with James, the owner of Crescent, James Durbecker. And there's no team. We don't have we don't have like a team even of pro staff anglers like the other companies. Is kind of, we got some people that fish our boats, and we, associate with them, kind of loosely, whatever. But it's just kind of a simple, laid back company, and that's James's vibe. That's more, James from Crescent and he's actually from Canada originally. He still has a cabin up there, lives in Georgia. They go up there to Georgian Bay, I think, all the time.
Yeah, Georgian Bay,
always Ontario, up there. And yep, they're always over there at his cabin this time of year. Once it starts getting summer, he makes a couple trips there once in the winter. A lot of Crescent's, actual their marketing material. You'll see some cool looking stuff from that blue water and those rocks, and that's from up there. So, but anyway, it's just him and I do. We take kind of the knowledge and stuff that I've learned, and obviously I've always gotten feedback and pay attention to the anglers and to any guys that we do work with, and taking their feedback and then kind of spit out the next cool paddling kayak design. So we got a couple new cool ones coming.
That's, and your relationship there, to have, with the owner. And that's really cool that being, a Canadian,
yeah.
George Bay is going to be somewhere we're going to find Drew Gregory one day paddling up there.
I mean, I need to get, I think I need to get up there because James keeps inviting me to the cabin and our schedules never quite work out, but usually goes there in like September. So maybe this year I can finally get up there because I know the fishing's got to be incredible.
Oh, it's fantastic. It is a beautiful area. It's probably I feel like it'll probably be different to some of the areas that you have fished throughout the United States. You probably hit a couple. But I would say Georgian Bay for you'd have a lot of fun catching smallies up there. I think and you should and when you do, make sure you make a stop in Cornwall, and we'll head out on the St. Lawrence River or its tributaries. Get you on some Canadian smallies. That would be fun. Yeah, dude, that would be a lot of fun. But so now, what's next for Drew? Like, what do we got? So we got Kayak Adventure Series coming up in about a week's time. We got that. Whitehall, Michigan. That's going to be kicking off. And then what's next on the tournament lineup here for you?
I mean, I've got the Bassmaster on the Susquehanna River next, and the next one I'm fishing. And
so you're going to go head to head with Josh Schranko, the Achigan guys. So he had won it last year.
Yep. He stayed in the same house together last year.
But at that same time, you had Jeff Little film and I remember watching, I think it's about 3 videos that he put together for you. And once again, it's impressive watching you fish. Like, just go and it's like, okay, this doesn't work. Boom, gone. Okay, and it's just always casting and moving and casting and moving are just, and it's
right, making decisions. Yeah, for sure.
So
again, comes from experience.
Do you honestly think though that, is there a good chance that Drew, he's coming for a W on
I hope so, dude.
I
that's a hard one to win. It's very hard because there's a lot of big smallmouth out there, and it's good. It comes down to execution because a lot of people probably gets the number of bites to win, like in terms of number of big fish bites to win that tournament. And it comes down to who doesn't lose that, 19, 20, 21 inch fish. Cause you just, you're going to get the opportunities if you know kind of what you're doing in that river. And I've always had good success there. My first Hobie event, I was 4th, and I was 4th the next year or whatever. And then, worst finish I think I've ever had there was like 21st. So, and then last year I was like 6th. So I definitely have good vibes with that river and kind of understand it, but it just comes down to execution. I even knew I found where Josh, we were in the same house, like I said, and we're friends. Josh and I are friends. So he was telling some guys where he was fishing for the tournament and how he caught a couple of big ones in practice, like right off the bat. And then he left, and he had made a couple comments. I'm not even going to say what they were, but I just knew where he was based on a couple little teeny things he said. I'm just such a nerd with map study, and he wasn't even saying anything that specific. And I said, and I actually knew that was one of the areas I had marked or whatever. And I told him I just had went there that day, that was his last day of practice, and caught one big one and left. And then I told him off privately. I said, well, are you fishing here? He was like, yeah. I said, well, it's all good. You can just, you just have it. You take it. I mean, I didn't know it was the winning spot. You know what I mean? I know I caught one big one, and it was going to be in my rotation. You know what I mean? Of places that I like you said, move fast. I bounce. Yeah. I take out in tournaments more than anybody else and move ramps potentially. I don't want to all the time, but it's like a backup plan, plan B and plan C, to always never be left. You always got to hit a floor every tournament day. You can't, to stay in it, you got to have a certain floor, a number you got to hit that's a certain floor. So I always want to have a plan B and C and back up. And so anyway, he ended up actually winning it there, obviously, but I was happy for him. I think I was like fifth or sixth in that tournament. So I'm not, like Jeff Little filmed it.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Had a great tournament. I actually lost that tournament on day one. If you remember, I lost 2 big ones.
Yeah.
And if those fish, and actually that was could have been a little user error on that one. Sometimes when I get a new reel, I don't like to use them in practice because I want them to be like perfect and pristine on tournament morning. Like my brand new reels spooled up, and I did not set my drag properly. I forgot to check it on that first big fish. So I lost it that morning on that top water.
Oh no.
So I'm wondering if maybe that hook gets in that fish if I don't have a loose drag. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
that could have been on me. But either way, it was a good finish, and love that river. And I've definitely got some new strategies because I've always been trying to figure out how do you win that tournament, man? It's about trying to figure out where everybody else is going to be and trying to go somewhere where you have all the fish to yourself. Because a tournament's usually won not on an A spot. An A spot is actually like so obvious that everybody else finds it. Therefore, it's no longer a winning spot in a tournament. It turns, because an A spot that has lots of big fish on it isn't that great when 10 people are sharing it. You know what I mean? It's just not. You're going to split them up. They're going to be not going to last 2 days. Going to cannibalize. No, a B spot that no one else has found is a winning spot. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a little hidden, a little subtle, or a B strategy, not even a spot, a B strategy. It's not the most obvious. I'm just going to sit here and like catch all these giant fish and nobody else is ever going to come around me. That's just mythical. It doesn't really happen very often. I mean, it does sometimes, but not very often.
You always seem like you're just so far up there. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't seem like there's anybody around. And, even in your videos, when you're pulling out and you're going to that B spot, you know what I mean? Like you're always moving. Like, at the end of this, Drew, like we're coming to just over an hour now, and like I just want to give you a chance to, thanks for coming on, dude. Like this was really awesome. This has been a blast. You're definitely gonna have to come back on, and we're gonna have to talk some more, maybe techniques, dive into these techniques, spinnerbaits, chatterbaits. I really think we need to do it because it sounds like, judging by the audience, man, they are really diving into this. But take it ahead. Let people know. Like I'm sure everybody knows where they can find Drew Gregory, but for those who can't, let them know.
Sure. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty much just Drew Gregory fishing on all the social media platforms. Kayak Adventure Series is just Kayak Adventure Series. But I'd love to see you guys, at one of the Kayak Adventure Series events in person or at the Bassmaster event. Come up to me, say, hey, always wanting to help anybody out with anything. So ask me anything. And hopefully we'll see you guys down the road, and I'd love to come back on and talk, whatever the stuff you were just talking about, or tournament. I think most people kind of start to figure out that, you said earlier in the podcast that on 10 Killer, I had this insane strategy where I had all this thought out and I'd already premeditated, found enough extra batteries from friends to borrow if I needed to go that far, and trim my motor properly to be able to, the torpedo to chew in like 7 inches of water, full speed. And like people are kind of, if you've ever went back and listened to any of my tournament wins or whatever, they all have a very similar story and this insane strategy on why I did this, why I went here first and did this and went there and how, whatever. Like they're very similar, like in a lot of the ways with this strategy. So that's one thing we could obviously dive into in a future podcast too, is this tournament strategy, since it seems to be something I'm kind of known for. And once I get the fish tips up there, I'll do some more of those virtual lessons, or you guys could purchase one of those. And again, I say purchase, and of course I'm going to get paid for it. This is what I do for a living. Right. But the thing is, I really want to save you guys all the time and money it took me my entire life to figure all this out. It's thousands and thousands and thousands. And God knows how much money that takes. And I can literally just quick someone's learning curve with all the technology and the scouting.
You are a wealth of knowledge,
online,
my friend.
So we can help folks out for sure.
Honestly, Drew, from myself and everybody else, we appreciate you coming on the River Run podcast and Paddle and Fin. we wish you all the best with the next Kayak Adventure series, and I hope each and every one of you go out and check it out. So, Drew, thanks for stopping by the River Run, and man, we're gonna have to do this again. This was awesome. Thanks for coming
buddy.
on by.
Thanks to Pal and Finn too. Thank you guys.
All right, guys, you heard it. Wow, like I don't know if we have enough time to just dive into everything with Drew. Like this has been a pretty awesome episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast at the same time. This is the 4th episode. There's more to come with the River Run podcast through Paddle and Finn. You'll be able to find this episode on all your platforms for streaming, whether it's Apple to Spotify, whatnot. Guys, thanks for stopping on by the River Run. I'm Adam Pross, your host. See you soon.